Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome. This is Fiona at Drawings in a Drawer, and on here we talk about everything watercolour and more. Today I am going to be painting a portrait that includes bears, and I really love to include woodland animals in my pieces from time to time. I find painting animals extremely relaxing, and I do step outside of my comfort zone but straight into another one, because to me painting animals is a very impulsive and very intuitive process. I work with a lot of wet and wet, as you can see from this footage, just dropping wet paint into an already wet surface, and basically this does most of the work for me when it comes to painting animals, and in this case to painting fur. I don't paint animals that often, but when I do, I love painting them staying within my style, so in an expressive manner, and I add interesting and unusual colours to their fur, like turquoises and violets on top of my earthy yellows and my browns, which I love. And for this piece I ended up using Phthalo Turquoise by Daniel Smith as an underpainting again, as I did in my video last week. I didn't want to repeat myself, but this colour is so perfect to capture and represent light. And as you will see by the end of this film, of this video, this piece in particular has so much light in it, and I thought this colour would reflect that wonderfully. There's a huge shift in your relationship with your creative self and with art when it stops being a hobby and turns into a career, which I'm not saying that this is my full-time career, but it is gradually turning into my career. And it's different because I'm filming everything I do, I'm changing camera angles, I'm planning, and I sometimes feel observed. So it's so much different compared to when I was sitting down to paint purely for myself. I feel that at one point you have to re-establish and reassess your relationship with your art and with your process, because it can very easily turn into something that you don't enjoy making anymore. And I absolutely don't want to lose that enjoyment. I don't want to step away from my creative self. And it's just something that you have to keep your eye on. You have to notice if it's changing too much, then you have to do something about it, a little bit like with everything in life. animals were one of the first things that I painted in watercolour, and I painted them much more at the beginning when I first started using this medium. So I thought I'd go back to one of my first loves, and I painted bears. I happen to truly love bears, and I'm really fascinated by them. So I also think that it's easier also for a beginner to paint animals, because you can break them down into very basic shapes, triangles and rectangles, and we tend to look at them almost less in detail. Instead, when we're looking at a human being, we're focusing on the eyes and the shape of the nose, of the lips, the teeth. There's so much that we already know about them. With an animal that we haven't ever seen up close, really, we observe them from a distance. It's easier for us to look at them like something we don't know, and that is actually an advantage, because we're not influenced by the idea we have of something. We're just observing and drawing and painting what we see. And the idea of painting fur might seem scary, because maybe we think we have to paint every single hair, but actually we don't. We just have to give the impression of fur, the idea of fur, and the eye will read it as such. So painting wet and wet is perfect for this. We just use the browns and the blues and allow them to blend by themselves on the surface, on the paper, and then we can add, while this is drying, we can add some splatters to give the idea of movement. And in itself, the way watercolour behaves, this will give the idea of beautiful fur. I would definitely say that you should not be scared of painting animals in watercolour, even if you are a total beginner. Give it a try and just experiment, and I'm sure that you will be in love with the process. And I just wanted to pop in here that most of my tutorials that you see on here on YouTube are on my Patreon, the extended narrated step-by-step version. And you can join my Patreon by checking out the link that I will leave in the description box. I'm really happy that I was able to upload. I've made a promise to myself to upload every weekend. I hope to get a more reliable date, like every Saturday or every Sunday. And I want to keep this promise to myself, so I hope that you will keep me accountable on this. If you're still listening, you are an absolute rock star, and please comment down below saying that you are one. I will see you next weekend. Have a great week in the meanwhile. Bye.